All right, everybody. Well, this is our first guest speaker of the semester. We have with us tonight, I'm really excited to have you tonight, Victor Pitts, who is a manager of premium seating at the Wells Fargo Center. And I'm excited for a couple of reasons. Number one, Victor to tell you a little bit about his background and what he does in his current role at the Wells Fargo Center. But he's also, currently managing and engaged in a really exciting project at the center involving Sixers and Flyers. And so the timing of it really is kind of unique in that they're in this phase of finalizing renovations at the Wells Fargo Center. So without further ado, Victor, if you can't see me, I'm over here. Welcome. Thank you, guys. I'll let you sort of take the floor.
All right. Thanks, JP. I appreciate it. Happy to be here. Glad you guys could have me come and speak to you this evening. So first, as JP mentioned, I wanted to start with what I do right now. I work for Comcast Spectacor, which is a subsidiary for Comcast. So technically, I do work for Comcast, but we are the stepsisters or stepbrothers of the Comcast family. Comcast Spectacor owns the Wells Fargo Center, and we own the Philadelphia Flyers. We used to own the Sixers, but unfortunately we sold them for 300 and some odd million, and now they're worth over $1 billion. So that was not a great move on Comcast's part, but I still get to work with the 76ers as they still play down here at the Wells Fargo Center. So my job is to bring in businesses, to bring in people who are interested in some of the premium seating that we offer here at the Wells Fargo Center. That's going to be our club box seating and also our suite seats. These are higher value items that we are selling outside of the normal full season and partial season seats that are in the lower and upper levels. Those are generally for fans. What I sell is catered a little bit more towards businesses. We do have some fans who, also own businesses, but I generally speak to people who are making business decisions, who own businesses. That's where a lot of my time is spent. I also do that for all the concerts that come through the Wells Fargo Center, and we are in the top 10 as far as the busiest arenas in the area, or in the country, rather. I'm sorry. So one thing I will say is that this job is demanding. Most people think, wow, it's so cool you get to watch games and you get to go to concerts. A lot of my time is not spent watching games and watching concerts. We have a concert going on right now. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys, but Karol G is here tonight. So that is why I'm here working. And I'll be checking on clients, which is a good portion of what my job entails. Bringing people in, getting them to commit, see the value, and giving them a reason why you want to have tickets down here at the Wells Fargo Center. Because honestly, I'll be the first person to tell you, people really don't need sports tickets. If you're a business, you don't need them. It's my job to convince you that you do, and to show you a reason why you need to invest and become a partner down here at the Wells Fargo Center. Because honestly, that's what I try to create when I have clients down here. Not only after you buy your seats, I do a lot more work after they sign a contract. I do a lot more work with them, maintaining that relationship. So that is, in a nutshell, what I can sell pretty much anything, but that's my main focus. What I think is more relevant for you guys, and probably what you would like to know about, is how did I get into sports? And I've actually worked, this is my second time working down here at the Wells Fargo Center. I worked about 10 years ago, I worked for the 76ers by themselves. So that was the only thing I sold. I didn't sell, like I do now, the concerts and the Philadelphia Flyers. So my sole focus was the Sixers. The Sixers were terrible. So it was a very trying job. And the way that I actually got into that position is I had a friend who worked on the game day staff. I had another job. I was in the mortgage industry. I'm from South Jersey and went to school in Atlanta, came back up to Jersey. And I had a friend, as I was in the mortgage industry, who he worked here part-time during game nights. And it was a cool job. He brought me down a couple of times. I got to go to the games for free. And I wanted to do it. It was extra pay and you get to watch games. So it was pretty cool. You were down on the court. And the way that I got in was during the summer, they had a summer hoops tour where those guys were going out traveling to different cities, and they do that now. And I was just showing up with my friends. His manager was there, and I was just showing up and helping out. And pretty much I would always ask her eventually, you should probably just give me a job because it makes it a lot easier. But I just kept on showing up. It's not like I was doing a ton of work, but I was helping out whenever I could. And after that one summer, when the next season started, I was offered a position. And from there, I worked on the game day staff. I worked there for 2 years. And it was just a fun job for me. I only had to be there game nights and only about 6 o'clock until the end of the game. So I had another job, didn't look at it as anything else other than that. And after 2 years, I decided that I wanted to go into sales on the Sixer side. Since I already had established relationships, it made it a lot easier. And I was able to just transition over into sales. Relationships in this business is one of the biggest things that you can create. Right now, you guys have the potential to create a lot of relationships where people start to see your name and connect with you on LinkedIn or any other social platforms. And the repetition of seeing your name or some of the things that you do goes far, because we get a lot of resumes. We get a lot of people who inquire about working for a sports team. It is a job that a lot of people do envision, they want to get involved in. And that's one of the ways that I would recommend finding anyone you're connected to, or doing something to make you stand out. That's one of the things that I would recommend as far as being able to get into sports sales, just sports in general, rather. Sales is always the area where you can get in a little bit easier than any other, just because a lot of people are they're not fond of sales. So it's not for everybody, but it is an area where whenever people ask me if there are any openings here, I'm like, yeah, there's always an opening in sales. But if you want to get into community relations or marketing, there would be a little bit of a waiting period. So what I would recommend, if you can do sales, if you're pretty good, you can do it for a year and you can always transition over. But that is another way to be able to get into the industry. The main thing I wanted to do was open it up to you guys to see if you had any particular questions. Honestly, I can sit up here and tell you stories and talk all day, but I wanted to open it up to you to see what would be relevant and what I could answer and kind of help you along in your journey.
Well, Victor, and that's great, and I appreciate you giving your background. Why don't you first start out? Just tell the class a little bit about the club level project, because I think tell us a little bit about what you're doing, how you're selling it. If maybe you can share with us some details of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are renovating our club level. It had not been renovated since it was built over 25 years ago. So it definitely needed an upgrade. So we're giving it a full facelift, and we're changing the feeling and the vibe of the entire club level. So it's a $51 million renovation that is taking place. Everything is being renovated. We're knocking down all the walls. It's going to be more of an open air concept, very similar to the Philadelphia Eagles suite level. If anyone has been over there, it's going to be more communal. It's going to be more of a place to be as far as an event and a place just where you want to come out and hang out, not where you're solely depending on if the Flyers are playing well, if the Sixers are playing well. That's going to be in the background, and that's going to be a great thing to watch. Hopefully both teams are doing great, and we go very deep in the playoffs. However, for people that are club level clients, they are looking for a different type of experience. The people that they're going to run into on the club level, they're going to be more of our small to medium business owners, or they're going to be executives who are going to be at the level where they're making some decisions that could help out another person who's looking for some networking opportunities or looking to develop clients. So we're really gearing things where we're adding in a couple of different bars, whiskey bars, tequila bars, things that are more high end, high and upper scale. So people have the opportunity, if you're not really into the game, but maybe you want to go and talk business and sip on some whiskey, something of that nature. And we're also bringing in 3 of the city's top executive chefs to come in and renovate the fair down here at the arena. Jose Garces from Iron Chef. Garces Eats will be one of our options that he's going to come in and have his own area where he's going to make custom fare for all of our members from the club level. We have Mark Vetri, and Mark Vetri is going to be doing Mark Vetri Pizza MVP. That's going to be something special. It's going to be a little bit different as far as any of the other pizza that you can get in the arena. And also the biggest thing is Steven Starr. And I'm sure many of you have heard that name before. And the Steven Starr Group, they have a ton of restaurants in the city. They're taking over our old grill restaurant, which will now be called Adrian. And that is going to be probably the kind of like the crown jewel on our club level because of the way that they're going to offer cuisine from each of their restaurants around the city on each given night. And it's just going to be a brand new opportunity and a brand new experience. And that's really what we're trying to create. So for me, I'm going after people who entertain clients, or if they want to maintain people in their current positions. Right now, employee retention is a problem that everyone is having. And being able to say that your company has seats has a lot more power than a lot of people think about. We are a sports team. And, you know, I can go to the Flyers and the Sixers, but as a team, we have season seats with the Phillies. We have season seats with the Eagles because we see the value. And a lot of times it just goes to employees, but it's great for employees who want to put in a raffle. It helps to create a feeling of being appreciated. So that is another avenue as far as how I am trying to get people in. We're running commercials nonstop. So hopefully you've seen some of those, but a lot of what I do is face-to-face and trying to get people down here to the arena. After you see the arena and seeing what we're doing, it sells itself a little bit more as opposed to trying to describe it or to send someone a virtual link. There's nothing like being in the arena and being down here and pitching yourself in a seat. Great,
thank you. All right, why don't we open it up to some questions? Guys got some questions for Victor?
Yeah, I got a question. So how long ago did this process, the renovation process start? Just to give me an idea of, how much work goes into this.
So if I heard correctly, you said how much time did it take for the club level renovation to start?
Yeah, or when did it start?
When did it start?
When did it start? Okay, so it was supposed to start 3 years ago. Due to COVID, it was delayed until this summer. And we could not start. We wanted to start at the end of the season, but the Sixers went into the second round. And the longer they went, the longer we could not begin the process. So it really started the end of May. And we are actually wrapping it up because we're still doing some renovations now. It's going to be ready to go fully the beginning of the regular season. So right now we're 70-75% finished, and we are very close to completing the process.
Yeah, good question. Anybody else questions for Victor?
Yeah, it's kind of building off of that, like with having some of the sections closed down, how did that like go with planning some of like the concerts you guys have?
So I didn't catch.
Victor, yeah, I'm closer to the mic here. So the question was, and I think it's an interesting one. How did you guys, because the Wells Fargo Center hasn't shut down during renovations. How did you manage things like concerts or other events while you're doing construction?
So we had to move people around a lot. There was a lot of juggling of schedules, and some concerts unfortunately were canceled, like Justin Bieber, Shawn Mendes. So those unfortunately we didn't have to worry about. But for the most part, the seating itself is not being moved. That was already swapped out last summer. So in some cases, we had a tarp at the back of the club and the guys weren't working while the concert was going on, but we just had a tarp to cut off the club level, and people had to enter from the lower level up to the club section. So we just had to get really creative in being able to make sure people can still see or make sure people can still enjoy their experience down here, and making sure they're getting what they're paid for. If you paid for club seats, you really don't want to be moved up to the upper level or something of that nature. So there was a little bit of juggling. We had some suites where we had to put people who were in club boxes in the suites, but overall, I think it went relatively smoothly for the amount of concerts that we have. So yeah, that was a very good question.
Yeah.
I know organizations like KPMG and the Capital One Arena have created a suite product that they have access to outside of events. And that seems to be something that people have been talking about a lot. Is that something that you guys foresee happening in the near future with the Wells Fargo Center?
So I'm not familiar. So when you say their suite product outside of events, is it where they're able to go into the suite when there's nothing else going on? Or do you mean just for just another event?
Yeah, no, it's like an innovation center that they can use for, you know, presentations, like workspace during the day, things like that, outside of events, concerts.
Yeah, Victor, so one of the things we did at the Eagles, and one of the things we did at the Eagles was, if you were a suite holder, you could schedule a time to host a meeting in your suite on off nights, right? So we had that ability. So we would have clients that wanted to, you know, they were going to a Phillies game and said, hey, let's go pop into our suite here and get it catered, like, you know, maybe just light hors d'oeuvres or something, and then go over to a game. We'd have people that want to do all day meetings sometimes. So that was one of our selling points. The challenge with the Wells Fargo is that if you have a suite for Sixers, the next night you've got Flyers, so it's harder to manage that. Victor, do you offer like them access to the arena outside of events, or no, just events?
Yes. So yes, we do. We do offer the arena outside of events, and it really depends on the scale of the event. A lot of times we'll have people who do or businesses will come and have meetings here. So we have a lot of different meeting spaces. It depends on the total number of people that you want to have down here. So we've had things where if people just want to have their annual meeting here, maybe they only have 30 people. We've had a bar mitzvah down here. This was a few years back. We had a bar mitzvah. It was a dentist, and he bought out the entire Wells Fargo Center on a Sunday. We didn't have anything else going on. He had the run pretty much of the entire area. We had the court down for him. There was the mascots were here. He was set up in the food hall, and it was one of the biggest scale events that I've seen down here that did not include an actual game. So there are opportunities down here. We have even after games, when we have groups down here, we have some groups that can get ice time earlier in the day, later in the day. If the ice is down or the court is down, we do have a 3-on-3 tournament that we run throughout the year for basketball. And a lot of teams will come down. They'll work it around when they have an event, as far as like they're coming out for maybe a fundraiser or a group night, and they'll either stay later that night or maybe come back in the day and get on the ice. So we do have the ability to have people down here. As JP mentioned, the main thing is we just have to work around the amount of events that we have down here at the center. We just have, we don't have a ton of dark days where there is no event outside of the summer.
Victor, it kind of leads me to a question that I have. So one of the things that we've talked a little bit about this semester is adding value to the customer and how you can give the customer benefits that sort of give them a reason to buy tickets from you versus the secondary market. So I guess I'm curious to see, number one, what types of benefits do you add to a customer's investment outside of just the game tickets? And then what types of requests are you getting? What do people want now? What are they asking for in terms of access, experiences, those types of things?
So a lot of that we try to address when someone becomes a client. We have special VIP events. We do golf outings. We have networking events. We have meet and greets with the team. We offer 20% off the team store, 20% off of the restaurants on our club level. We have $20 to $30 in loaded ticket value, which is $20 or $30 that you'll have each per ticket that you can use in arena. So you don't have to spend as much money there, and it's more of a savings in that aspect. Parking is one that is probably asked for the most. We do offer parking for certain situations, but adding in parking is probably the request that I will hear on the most frequent basis. But there really isn't a limit to what we offer. We try to cater it to the particular person, because not everyone, some people really wouldn't value. I could tell you, I could get you a signed, puck or stick, or a signed, jersey. But if that doesn't hold any value to you, then it doesn't really matter. But if I can tell you, I can get you $10 extra on your loaded ticket value, so when your employees come down, they're not spending anything out of pocket, then that becomes the key to getting you on board with us and making sure we retain you as a client. So there isn't anything that's standard. I mean, we offer a lot of times, if we need to throw in additional, since we have so many events here, we'll throw in, maybe I'll get you 4 tickets down to an event that's coming up, such as tonight, Carol G, or, Bruce Springsteen has been very popular with a lot of our fans. They want that thrown in. So there's a lot of flexibility on what we can offer, but we do offer a number of different items because like you said, JP, most people, they want something beyond just the tickets and the seats. They want more of an experience that they can take. Me personally, since I did work with the Sixers, I still have a pretty good relationship with them. And I offer occasionally, when we do like the on-court shots, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, like the half-court shot, the free throw, the three-pointer. I've had a couple of my clients come down there because that's an experience that most people won't have. And that's the type of things that a lot of people are looking for.
Okay. All right, we've got time for a couple more questions. Anybody? Who else want to hear? Victor, I got a question for you. So one of the things I always like to ask folks is, what do you love about your job? Why do you do it? Why do you spend so much time on nights and weekends at the arena?
Yes, that's a good question. I meant to touch on that when I was going over my background. So as I mentioned, I worked for the Sixers. I was there for a total of 5 years, and then I left and I went into finance. So I was a financial advisor, and for some reason I came back. And the reason for me is I like dealing with people. That's why I'm in sales. But I like talking about sports, and people honestly like talking about sports a lot more than they like talking about money. Nobody wants to talk about money, but everybody has an opinion on sports, whether it's the Sixers, the Flyers, or everybody likes music. So you like one of the three, and that's something where you can generate a conversation. And that's really what sales is. It's all about generating conversations. And as soon as I mention what I do and where I work, it normally will start a conversation. So it really isn't a problem with going in and speaking with people. But for me, as I mentioned, I just like the difference that comes in every day, the variety rather, that I come across every day. It's never the same thing. I'm not just going in and doing the same thing over and over again every day. There's always something different. A lot of times it could be issues, somebody who, they didn't get their tickets, or they lost something at the arena or something like that, and they're just calling randomly. But those are the type of things that I like to deal with. I like the customer service aspect, and I like the challenge of gaining a client's trust and then maintaining that trust and kind of grow them into more of a developed and deepened relationship here with the Wells Fargo Center and with the Flyers.
Okay. Last question, and again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sort of being here with us tonight. I know you got to get back to work here. So what advice would you have for the students here that are interested in working in sports? What advice would you have in terms of how they get started? What should they do? What should they be doing?
So I have a couple of things. So first, I would just make sure that you understand the job. If you can get an internship, definitely come in and see the inside of how things work, because a lot of people think that it's dealing with players, or like, do you know the players? Do you deal with players? I dealt with the players more when I was a part-time employee than I do now, or anytime I became full-time, because it's just not the focus. My office is literally down here at the Wells Fargo Center. The guys don't practice. They only come in for games. The practice facilities are in New Jersey. So, if you're getting into it for that reason, it's probably not the best route. There are some people who deal with the players, but that's really not what the majority of people do. As I mentioned, to get into, I think, any type of sports organization, being open-minded and saying yes to a lot of different things. So for me, if I was in your shoes right now, what I would do to kind of make myself stand out, if this is what I knew I wanted to do, and if it was on a sales aspect, I would probably put together a night, and you guys probably already have a night or something like that, but putting together an outing or a night and partnering up with, let's say, a group sales rep or a sales rep with whatever team I had any interest in being. And then once they see, because the salesperson, they're number one, they will let you do it and they'll let you run with it, but they will appreciate that you did it. Then you just won yourself an ally. And that's how you honestly get into this business, by knowing people. And that creates somebody who is going to feel like they've already seen you do the hard work, and they can vouch for you. They can say, well, if we have a position open, so-and-so put together this night. They came to me with a night. I did help them out, but they developed the night. So you can see they have the work ethic and they have the attitude to go forward and make something happen. Because as I mentioned, it's very competitive. There are so many people who submit resumes, and they inquire about working for an organization, but being able to be creative and stand out. And that is two of the bigger things, that and enthusiasm, because you got to love what you do, because we work a lot. As I mentioned, you have to really like what you do. Being enthusiastic, people can really tell if you're authentic and that you really like it. And for whatever reason, people think that this job is what, they're like, oh, you were made for this job. And they're just getting it from my enthusiasm. Because I can't really complain about working, even though the team could be better, but I'm not going to complain about working in sports, because it's something that I really enjoy, and I like dealing with people. So those are the things that make your connections, say yes to things, and you got to push yourself out of your comfort zones. So you got to trust me, I don't always want to deal with people and have people tell me, no, the team stinks. I don't like what you guys are doing. This is too much. I hear that, but there's nothing I can do about that. You just got to keep on pushing forward. And if you really want to do it, you got to get creative, make your connections, and start right now. You start making your connections, getting your name out there. So once that internship comes up, I recognize a name, pass it along. And as I mentioned, that is the way that a lot of people get these jobs, through someone that they know or a name that they recognize, with someone who showed that initiative to go forward and make things happen.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Victor. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to meet with us. We do appreciate it. And so thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, JP.
All right. Well, I will talk to you soon. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Thanks.
All righty.
All right.
Thanks.